explains how cells copy DNA and divide to make new cells. The big idea is, cells must copy their DNA before dividing, so each new cell receives a complete set of genetic information. This process is critical for growth repair, replacing damaged or dead cells. First concept, cell growth. When we talk about growth in multicellular organisms, we usually mean an increase in the number of cells, not just cell size. Cells divide to produce more cells. For example, babies grow into adults because their cells divide repeatedly. Cuts heal because cells divide to replace damaged cells. Mini summary. Multicellular organisms grow mainly by increasing cell number through cell division. Q&A. What does cell growth mean in multicellular organisms? An increase in the number of cells. How do multicellular organisms grow through repeated cell division? Why do organisms need cell division for growth, repair, and replacing old cells? Next concept, the cell cycle. The cell cycle is the life cycle of a cell. It has two major parts, interphase, mitotic phase. Cells spend most of their time in interphase. The mitotic phase is much shorter. Mini summary. The cell cycle includes interphase and mitotic phase, with most time spent in interphase. Q&A. What is the cell cycle, the sequence of growth and division in a cell? What are the two major parts of the cell cycle, interphase and mitotic phase? Which phase do cells spend most of their time in interphase? Is interphase longer than mitotic phase? Yes. Next concept, interphase. Interphase is when the cell grows, performs normal functions, replicates DNA. Interphase has 3 stages, G1 phase, S phase, G2 phase. The most important stage for this topic is S phase. S phase is when DNA replication happens. Mini summary. Interphase is the growth and preparation stage where DNA replication occurs. Q&A. What happens during interphase? Cells grow, function, and replicate DNA. When does DNA replication happen during interphase? What phase specifically contains DNA replication? S phase. Does DNA replication happen during mitosis number? Next concept, DNA replication. DNA replication is the process of copying DNA. Before a cell divides, it must make an identical copy of its DNA. This ensures each new cell gets a complete genome. During replication, DNA unwinds, bases pair with complementary bases, 2 identical DNA molecules form. Remember, A pairs with T, G pairs with C. After replication, chromosomes contain 2 identical sister chromatids. Mini summary. DNA replication copies DNA before cell division, so new cells receive identical genetic information. Q&A. What is DNA replication? The process of copying DNA. Why is DNA replication important? So each daughter cell receives complete DNA. What happens to DNA before cell division? It is replicated. What are sister chromatids? Identical copies of a chromosome. How are sister chromatids formed? Through DNA replication. Which bases pair together during replication? A with T and G with C. Next concept, chromosomes and sister chromatids. A chromosome is condensed DNA. After DNA replication, 1 chromosome becomes 2 identical sister chromatids. The chromatids remain attached at the centromere. The sister chromatids separate later during mitosis. Mini summary. Replicated chromosomes contain 2 sister chromatids connected by a centromere. Q&A. What is a chromosome? Condensed DNA containing genetic information. What are sister chromatids? Identical copies of a replicated chromosome. What connects sister chromatids? The centromere. When do sister chromatids form? After DNA replication. Next concept, mitosis. Mitosis is nuclear division. It divides one nucleus into 2 identical nuclei. Mitosis produces 2 genetically identical daughter cells, diploid cells. Human body cells are diploid, meaning they contain 2 chromosome sets. Mitosis is used for growth, repair, cell replacement. Mitosis is not involved in producing sex cells. Sex cells are produced through meiosis, not mitosis. Mini summary. Mitosis produces 2 identical diploid cells used for growth and repair. Q&A. What is mitosis? Division of the nucleus to produce identical cells. What does mitosis produce? 2 genetically identical daughter cells. Are cells produced by mitosis haploid or diploid? Why is mitosis important for growth, repair, and replacing cells? What is mitosis? Not involved in producing sex cells. What process produces sex cells? Meiosis. Are daughter cells genetically identical in mitosis? Yes. Next concept, phases of mitosis. Mitosis has 4 main stages: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Prophase, chromosomes condense. Metaphase, chromosomes line up in the middle. Anaphase, sister chromatids separate. Telophase, 2 nuclei form. After mitosis, cytokinesis divides the cytoplasm. Mini summary. Mitosis separates replicated chromosomes into 2 identical nuclei, Q and A. What happens during prophase? Chromosomes condense. What happens during metaphase? Chromosomes line up in the center. What happens during anaphase? Sister chromatids separate. What happens during telophase? 2 nuclei form. What is cytokinesis? Division of the cytoplasm. Final summary of the entire topic. Multicellular organisms grow by increasing cell number through mitosis. Cells spend most of their time in interphase, where growth and DNA replication occur. DNA replication creates identical sister chromatids before mitosis begins. Mitosis produces 2 genetically identical diploid cells used for growth and repair. Mitosis does not produce sex cells. Meiosis does.